I think, yep, this is going. All right, so this is the last training on surveys and forums, part three, at least of this academic year for 2025. I will attempt to do um, kind of a harder thing here, where we kind of go into a little bit more of the complex nature of how to create and do surveys and forums. Um, I would first say that one thing to think about here is that I do have to make a kind of like a walkthrough guide, I think, to accompany this. I think that will be very helpful for knowing how to do this if you fully don't get it from the training. And I can say just from the experience of this that I didn't fully understand it right away either. It took a while, but once I finally did get it, it really is kind of awesome, right? It makes a lot of sense. So I'm just letting you know that, yeah, if one thing that would have been helpful for me is a walkthrough guide, and I did actually look through at some of the other guides from campus groups who helps to make Wolfpack Connect, and so I will be working on doing something similar. Just keep that in mind. But today, for the surveys and forums, we're going to do a couple things here, right? We're going to look at logic-based statements, right, and how that you can use those. And then we're going to start to incorporate some of the workflow elements in there so that you can know what you have to do next, right? So in terms of what we've learned so far, right, we know that, clicking in that surveys and forums tile from off of your main group, right, that you're going to have all of your surveys and forums listed. We also know that there's many different ways and viewpoints of seeing and clicking on and going to the same spot, right? Whether it be once you click in something and then it gives you all the options up here, or whether it be clicking on it from this side, or whether it actually be inside of the form itself, right? There's many different ways of viewing those same options, right? So something to think about there and just remember. And so today with logic, statements and creating those, I'm going to basically kind of give the tutorial on, we're going to create from the scratch a basic form, right? And we're just going to name this logic um, forum. Um, and actually, I'm actually going to have us go back and because again, I said that we want this to be, and as I can do, I can just change it to survey right here, hit save. Um, Now there should be right, it should be an actual survey. Because let's just say that we want to do a feedback statement, right? Like I have done and for some of them. And I want to also, and then we're also going to work with submission tags with logic statements as well. But let's do some of the basics, right? So let's say that we had an event, we're a club, we had an event, and we want to look at how we can maybe make the event better, or how we can, what information we can gather off of it. So um, I would say first, if it was me making this, I would say we should have something that asks, what was the event, right? So what was the event that you attended? What was the event that you attended? Right. And then for me, I would create this as just a basic single line, right? Because they don't have to add too much information in there. I would have this as a mandatory question, just so they knew, because I would want to know what event was it. If I use this form, I mean, in some ways you can use forms to be very specific, or surveys or forms to be very specific to specific things, like specific types of events, like categories or types, right? Or you can try to find ways to make them more universal so they can be used for different things, but use one thing to be able to collect that. And in that case, that's where you would want to make sure that you have that information, like what was the name of the event, right? Because then that allows you to be able to kind of cipher through and sift and find the specific thing for like maybe that event and get that information, right? So I might put up here, thanks for attending um, our club event. Um, this survey helps gather feedback to make sure that we can make it better for the next time, or however you want to word it. Again, if it was me, I probably won't word it just like that. I would again want to check to see like, okay, how's that going to look, right? And right now, that's how I attended this, right? And whatnot. So going back though, now what was the event? Maybe I might want to know what the date was, right? So what was the date of the event? So maybe if the user who's entering this information in, right, didn't fully know what they thought they knew what the name of the event was, but maybe they just use a different name or they just were mistaken, right? You can maybe have this date option be another way to help you figure out what are they talking about specifically. So what was the date of the event, right? And then we can use the date feature that we had, right? And then make that also mandatory. Hit save, check out where we're at so far. So the name, then the date, right? And then we can go ahead and continue on, hit edit, and then now this is where you could really start to think like I, I would I would, if it was me, start with maybe a Word document here, right? So like what am I trying to get, and then what is the logic statement going to be for whatever that answer is, or how am I going to use this logic statement? So um maybe you could say um what did you do at the event, and then you could maybe think about saying like, let's say um, played played with activities. Maybe if you had an activity set up, or talk to club members, um, or ate some food. And then maybe we have an other here, right? So that other, obviously, we have a we could say, well, if there's an other thing that they did or that they felt like that user wants to put down, then that might be, we would have a logic statement in there and to say, um, and then just put that down as um, what, uh, or you could just do, please explain what you did at the event, right? And there's our first bit of logic, right? So that is where we know, like, okay, if they select that, that's what is going to happen. Um, um, you could maybe say, did you enjoy the activities provided? You know, and then we could have a logic statement going one of both ways, right? So again, we're doing logic, right? And I'm sorry if this is needs to be bigger. I'll zoom that in. You can do logic, and then if they select yes, then you can then do, um, you know, what did we can, did you, yes, then we can say maybe um, please explain what you liked. Um, and then if they said no, right, we have the other bit of logic that then says, um, please explain what you didn't like. Like, I mean, it could be a lot of different ways of going about this, um, but yes, that then we can have that be a logic with either a yes or a no, right? So, um, and then we move on, right? Um, you can say, what what would you have liked to see at the event, right? And then that might just be an open-ended question. We might not have any logic based with that. Would you of have like, I guess that's probably more correct. And then I do this, and I explain this in one of my past trainings, but we could also do, um, would you like someone from the club to contact you about the event um, to discuss further? I don't know. And then I might put another one. Do you want to be on? Maybe. Do you want to be on our mailing list, right? And then we can put, um, have that again, logic. So I'm going to put a couple bits of logic here. Logic with yes, and then I'm going to put, I'm just going to put some logic here where it's just going to be, actually, I'm going to put no, and I'm not going to put any logic, right? So then that way it gives the idea that if they say yes, that's going to trigger something, but otherwise, nothing's going to happen, right? And so then we can do this logic right here as well. And again, this could be yes, and then maybe we can do, it could be based off of how would you like, how would you like us to contact you? Giving them that preference. And then from there, it could be set to, um, we could maybe have a question that just says um, email, phone, or email, text, right? Just something basic, right? And that's going to be a logic, right, too. And then we also have to be thinking about the no. We don't want them to contact us, and so then nothing happens, right? So this is in a nutshell, right? And let's try to get this all on one page. What we're looking at here, right? So if we think about it, think it through, this is what we end up with in terms of how we're going to make this survey today, right? And again, so it's really based off of, and then I'm also going to put down, I could put down here, I'm going to put down here to make a little bit more sense. Submission tag, uh, email. And then I'm going to put down here submission tag, text. And then I'm going to highlight those. Google should be highlighted for that. And then I'm going to put down, I'm going to put down, that should be, it's going to tell us how that, do you want to be, and then that yes, yes, and then from there, submission tag, mailing this, or I'm just going to do mailing. And I think that should be, the last bit of here. Again, this is part of it. You're really just figuring out how you want this to go. So I would have, I'm going to try to have, I think this should work. workflow trigger. And all right, so here that what I'm trying to really show here is that you want your survey to read, you want anything that you're doing to read something, right? So if it reads off something to you and tells you, then you can know how it's going to go. So if I was to go out of here for a second and also go to the executive leadership team, and I was to look at one of the surveys and forms that I've created, and I'm going to go to the spring involvement fair, which we just had, right? And so right now we just closed it, but look, I can see right now how this reads off these, and this is where I'm talking about those submission tags, right? So we can say, I asked them if they had any special requests. So there's a special request there. That request obviously is 2 tables, right? But I know that that's what they're asking. I have that a submission for it to tell me that's the spring involvement fair. I also have something that tells me if it's a student club or not versus a student org. So as you can see, this is not, this submission by Ellie is not a club versus this, which is, right? And this one as well. And so, or like if I have an org, right? So Coles with Student Senate says student org, right? So and then I also have other things like I use it for knowing when this happened in the spring or the fall and the year, the academic year. But those things you might not be users for. But you want to tell you something. If you want to tell a story, if you made it or if your club made it, you want to make sure that your officers know how to read it, and then you can also be able to use stats to be able to see specific things, and then have them grouped by submission, right? So I can tell specific things grouped on those submissions, right? So something to think about right there, right? So going back here to the test group club. So yeah, having the ability to be able to kind of plan this out is going to be helpful, right? Because now you can go back to your surveys and forums. Well, actually, I'm going to have us go right now to our tags, right? So you want to go to your more tools and tags, and we're going to create those submission tags ahead of time because we're going to need those. And so those are going to be listed under your firm's survey submission tags, right? So I have listed that we need one that says mailing, right? So mailing, and let's just give it this green color and hit save. And I'm going to create another submission tag, and we're going to have um, email and text is the other one. So email, and let's do a purple. We're just going to keep this same. I like to group because you can maybe have a lot of submission tags. I like to group certain things or certain questions or certain types of things. So in this way, communication, email is one sort of communication, text is another. So I'm going to keep them the same color, right? You can do it however you want, but I feel like that's going to be a lot easier, right? For me to be able to kind of maintain um, how to be able to go about this, right? So, and then, um, and let's also, because I do have these other ones in here as well, let's use those too. So let's go back to this. Um, we could do what level of interest did you have um, did you have for the event, right? And so we're going to have those submission tag. We're going to have answers being basically though I keep hitting the wrong thing. Um, either high level. Should we just do it like this? High. Let's go back. Medium. Low. No interest. No. None. And then submission tag no interest. And same thing, signature tag. I think that we have it as load up. So actually, I'm going to do it as no level. Is that where they have it? Is that's no level, low level. Medium level, and high level. There we go. So, and we will make sure that we have those bold as well. So there we go. So this now is our thing. So we can make this work here. So we have everything that we really need for that. So we can go back to our surveys and forms. We can now go back to our logic. We can just go hit edit, right? I'm going to put everything on one page. And so, yeah, what was the event? What was the date? And then, again, next question is, what did you do at the event? So copy and pop that down. And so we're going to give them a controlled answer with that option for other, right? So when you multiple choice, and in this case, we're going to do only a single selection. So multiple, oh wait, I'm going to do multiple choice single selection, not the drop down, and answer one, so play with activities, add answer, talk to club members, copy, add answer, and eat some food, copy. And then other. And so if it's other, and so here's the thing, if it's other, that actually is going to be another question, right? So we'll make it mandatory, and then we'll hit save. And then so that's what we've got. We then put other as please explain what you did at the event, right? So, and this could be a multi-line, right? Because we don't know what they're going to say. And so we're going to save right there. We're going to hide this, right? So we'll just hide it right now because we want this to only do something upon a condition or conditional statement that the user has now selected and said. So if they say other, then we're going to show it. If they don't say other, we're not going to show it. It's not relevant to what they're doing for the survey. So we're going to go on, and again, I'm going to set that up with the logic here in a second, but we're first going to continue building this, right? And so control, we're going to just do the junior the activities. And then we're just going to it's a yes or no. And so, and then these are also going to be additional questions for each one as well. So we're going to put this as here, hit save. And so yes or no, I have a question. So then, and this is going to get a little crazy. So again, I don't expect you to fully get it right away. And hit save. Again, we're actually going to duplicate this. So explain what you like. And then the other option is explain what you didn't like, right? So explain what you didn't like. And save. And again, both of these should be hidden So, did you enjoy the activities provided? Yes. Then we show what you liked. If you selected no, then we show what you didn't like. And so that is going to be how that one looks, right? So now moving on, explain the level of interest, right? And now we have to do, again, it's going to be defaults on single selection. So high, medium, low, or none. High, medium, low, or none. And hit save on that one. And we should actually probably, again, like I said, this is what sometimes happens. You'll get that double thing show up. You just refresh the page if that happens. I'll hit edit here just to make sure this says mandatory. We want to get this information. And then we go over to, you know what, we're gonna take, we should probably put it on and copy and this question. What would you like to see at the event, right? Free text, multiple line, not gonna put any things on here. Actually, I'm not gonna make that mandatory one. Maybe they don't have anything they have to say, but we'll still put it on. Would you like someone to contact you? Put that down. And then yes or no. So yes, add answer no. And then we can do, sometimes it does this again. So we're gonna move this down at the very end right there. There we go. And then add a question. How would you like us to contact you? Email or text. Hit save. And this one's going to be hidden too, right? So if they select yes, then we show this one, right? And then you want to be in our mailing list. So last question. And yes or no. So now we have this general basis of what this is going to look like, right? So we preview this. It's going to look like this. What was the event? What was the date? What did you do? Right now, we don't have those other things activated, those hidden ones, so they're not showing up. They won't show up yet because we don't have nothing telling them to show up based to trigger based on conditions, right? But now we can actually go ahead and do that, right? So um, we can now go to this second one over from the eyeball that this looks like two arrows going in different directions, and it says logics, right? So now this is a screen you haven't seen before. You can search the logic if you have a bunch of different logic going on. But basically, there's different types of logic, right? Logic based on questions, logic based on pages, submission tags, submitter tags, workflows. And just to make it clear what the difference is, questions, if you the logic is based on the question that's being asked. And therefore, then you would have all the questions being asked and it'll all be sorted out by page. Or if you had it based on pages, then it would do, well, the question, whatever the answer is where that would take you to the next to the corresponding page. So if you have yes or no, and on page the yes takes you to page 2, then and then no takes you to page 3, then that's where this would come in handy. Submission tags, again, for us, based on what is answered, it will add a specific tag on. So submitter tags only works if they're members in your group, but it will basically tell you, like, if say I have a thing that says please vote, and then you vote. After you voted, I could have a submitter tag that says voted, and then I could be able to track. And then workflows tell you, again, we're going to have one in here that basically triggers a workflow process starting up, and so you'll see that. So we're going to do these all based on questions because we don't have any pages, but we're going to create some logic. And so then, yes, it's going to show it as, and these are Boolean statements, right? So if then, so if the logic set is question, so if the question is, and so first area, this is where we go back to having it, right? Did you enjoy the events provided, right? If, did you enjoy the events provided is yes, then show, please explain what you liked, right? So, um, uh, show right here, please explain what you liked, and we can activate it. So once you activate this will be going. So save, right? So now you can see, and it tries its best to make it very simple so you can understand it. But if you enjoyed these activities provided and that that answer is yes, and then do this thing, right? So now you're going to see that we're going to do the exact opposite. Well, please, did you enjoy the activities provided? Is no, right? Then we can say, please explain what you didn't like and activate that logic, right? And so now we're gonna actually I'm going to, before I start to do that, I'm gonna kind of do a few more of these so that it so you kind of feel get more comfortable with this. Well, actually no, I'm not. I'm going to have a show it because we're gonna go into submission tags in a second. But this is just basic question logic, right? And now I'm going to preview that survey again. What did you enjoy the activities provided, right? Yes, please explain what you liked. No, please explain what you didn't like, right? So, oh, and I could actually I did have that for that other right there. And so actually I can do that. That's the other one I can do here. So I can hit logic for this, right? So create logic again, question, what did you do at the event is other than show what did you do at the event, right? So, boom, and it sorts them out by this specific question. So these are based off of the same question. They have different results of what they do, but they're from the same question itself. And then this is its own. So now we go back, preview it again. What did you do at the event? Other. Oops, I did not do something right. Let's fix that. Hit cancel. Maybe I didn't fully activate it. Save it. What did you do at the event? Is other than show what did you do? Oh wait, yep, I know what I did. I accidentally clicked on the question itself. So that's my bad. I hit save. And this one needs to be deleted. So again, good organization is going to help you on this, right? So now if I do this again, now we'll see it should work. Other, please explain what you did at the event. Did you enjoy the activities provided? Yes. No. Right. Now we can go ahead and say, go down to the submission tags, right? For this next part. And from here, submissions tags. logics again, right? Create some logic. This time, though, we're selecting submission tag, right? So what level of interest did you have at the event? Is high, high level. Add tag to submission, high level. Save. If you've probably guessed it, we're going to be doing it for medium. And then, I'm sorry, we have to make sure that we select everyone is medium, then medium level, and hit save. And then again, submission tag is low, low level, and then none, and no level, no level. Boom. So we have every single thing for every single answer. As you can see right here, we have it, everything right there, right? So, and I'm going to take a second here to see like, um, let's see, so we're gonna go, I'm gonna have us kind of do a thing here. So this one might actually require a little bit of logic, a little bit more of logic. So what would you to contact you is yes, then you show how would you like us? Activate that. Yes, questions activated. And then I don't have not okay. So there's a few different things. This question, this one's the most complicated one, I'm gonna say, because we're gonna be doing like two different things for one answer, and then from that answer itself, two different things that are submission tags. So I just did one of those, which is the question. If they selected yes, then show something, which then that is how would you like us to contact you. The other second part is going to be the workflow. If it says yes, it triggers the workflow. But the two subsets of that first question of how would you like us to contact you is now going to be with a submission tag. So how would you like us to contact you? Is email. We throw an email, save. Again, submission is how would you like us to contact you? Text. Then we go with text, save. As you can see now, those down there. So we got two of the three done. We got triggered that last one. This is going to require a little bit more. Now we're like we're kind of stepping it up here. I'm going to show this quickly so that you can see what we've got. So, how would you like it? Yes, what you like, level would not show it on here, but this is a free question. Yes, how would you like us to contact you? Email. Now we have to set up that part of this, right? So we're going to just go back to test group club itself. Oops, looks like I didn't like that. Interesting. Oh, because I get what I'm doing. Back to servers and forms. So now this is where we go into the specific workflow itself, right? So our workflows, we're going to create a workflow right now. So we have two options up here, workflow teams or create workflow. We're going to create a workflow. We're going to say communication workflow, or just name it communication. And then give it a description. This would be helpful if you have to explain to somebody. This is what happens when someone says yes to wanting to be contacted. And reset workflow of submission changes. If the user goes back and changes any of their answers, this would then reset the workflow to the beginning stage again, is what that's asking. I'm going to hit no. So hit save. So we have communication. We click on that. By default, it's going to have 3 steps, right? So this is, if you have any of those, if at some point you get good enough, you might have those. We're just going to do it one for right now because we don't need, at least for how I'm going to show this, we only need 1 step, right? And then I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this and hit edit step 1, and I'm going to say contact club officers. This step contacts any of the club officers so that they can get back to the submitter of the survey. And transition, now this can be a few different things, right? Anyone, in this case, if I have multiple people on the team, right, it's gonna only have it be me. But if I did, and I have had workflows like this, anyone on the team would then have could do it. You could have it so that everyone has to approve it, or at least a certain number of people have to at least have to approve it. Or you could just have it as a send a notification. So no one has to approve it, it's just notifying people. But in this instance, anyone from the team approves. Activate by default. Now this has to be set to no if we're, and again, this will always be activated unless logic hides it. We're going to do logic with this, so we want it to not activate by default. And when this step is approved, send a notification to the participants of the step that it has been approved. So the person who submitted it so basically this means that if the person who submitted it ends up that this gets approved, then that person who submitted it will get notified of it. That and as you can see by default, it already sends a notification. So we can just leave that as yes right now. But you could also have a specific set of people have a notification, like if you wanted to. We're just going to hit save right now, right? So now we have it named, we have some information to it. But as you can see, we have to assign a group or a team to it, right? So what are our teams right now? Well, we don't have any teams. We have to actually create some teams. Well, I guess we do have some teams. And I'm going to for this, but this is me testing around. But for this instance, when we go ahead and click our workflow teams, we want to create a team and name it. So we'll name this the communication team, right? And dynamic type. This is only, I would just leave this as none for right now, but you could have this based off of how it's going to, that's what I say it. If you have it set to group, then this is going to only be working for the group itself. You select it to user, it's going to allow you any specific user that you select in the team. So you could select users who are not part of your group, and that would work, right? Or you could have it none and then don't put any thing on there. I'm just going to put none. Hopefully I explained that, made that make sense, but it might not have made sense. So now I just select users. I'm going to put me down, right? So Sean Green, and hit OK. So now I'm in that team. I could put more on here if I wanted to. And I think I could duplicate and yeah, just do some basic edits. Now I can go back to my workflows, right? So this workflow, again, I have to assign a team to it, hit edit teams, and now I could say communication team. We're going to add that to the step. Again, we could edit participants here, and then we can select that. So now this will happen. This part of the workflow step, this part of the workflow, this step will happen based on a certain condition. So now, and if that makes no sense, hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense here in a second, because now that we've set up what we need to set up in the workflow, we can go back to the survey itself, right? So we can go back and hit edit, and we can go back to how would you like us to contact you, right? So go back to logic, and we can create some logic now. Now we're going to go down to workflow, and we can say, would you like someone from the team to contact you? Is yes. So is yes. Again, looking at this document, would you like someone to contact you? Logic is yes. Workflow triggers right there, right? So is yes, add to workflow. What are we adding into the workflow? Well, we only have the steps. So, actual way, I'm sorry. I'm going to take this back 1 second because it will work in a second, but there's one last thing that we have to do. We have to, again, tell it, and I explained this a little bit. We have to tell it that there is going to be a automatic triggering sequence by the actual workflow. So we go down here to um, which workflow, right? Now we're going to select communication and hit save. Now it knows that this is going to link together. Now we go down here to this right here. How would you like someone to contact you? Create logic. Again, I'm just going to review it. Would you like someone to contact you? Is yes. Add to workflow. Contact club officers. Activate that logic, right? So now we've got that workflow set up. So if somebody says yes, it will now send out a message to anyone who is an officer in the team, that communication team, to contact, say, hey, this has been activated, right? And then they will know what to do from there, right? So we've just now set that up, right? So cool, that's awesome. So now, and that's probably the hardest thing of trying to do because there's, and you saw that I'm gonna say I fumbled, but I forgot that there was a few different steps in there, and I forgot one of those is again at linking it to the survey to the actual workflow. But you have to create the workflow, you have to create the team, you have to link it together, and then you have to set up the logic to it. That's 4 different things going on just for this one thing. But it's really awesome and it really can be useful. So now we can go ahead and um, now, I think that is our last bit here. Do you want me to mailing yes or no? And then we have submission tags. Um, then add the tag text, add email. Yes, perfect. So, um, and that's great. So now we're set, right? This is actually done. Um, and we can preview it and we can take it, right? So what was the event that you attended? Club event. When did you do it? Oh, I did today. Um, let's say um uh, let's say I um just listened to music. What did I do at the event? Listened to music. Did you enjoy the activities provided? Yes. Um, I thought the event overall was enjoyable. I look forward to the next event. What level of interest did you have for the event? I'm gonna say I had maybe a medium sized interest. What would you all like to see? Um, I'm not sure. Um, Nothing at this time. Would you like someone to contact you from the club to contact you about the event to discuss even further? Yeah, sure. Yes, that triggers the workflow to start. Now, it also showed that next question. So again, 2 different things. And then that subset is how would you like us to contact you? Um, Email. All right. And then do you want to be in a mailing list? Yes. Submit. Now, I'm going to say thank you, right? I don't have any of those extra perks on there like I showed you in the other ones. We go home. Now things should start to show up or whatever. If I go to the test group club, right, and I look at our stories and forums, remember I said it's about how telling a story, right? We click on, and as you can see, we have a underneath there, we can tell that this workflow is now linked to it because it says communication underneath. And we can also tell on the side here that we have 11 pieces of logic connected to it because it shows that same symbol of those 2 arrows going across. We click on the logic survey and we can see that I have 2 different things going on, right? I have email. So do you want to be emailed? Yes. So that's how yes, basically they want to be contacted. They want to be contacted via email. and that medium level of interest, right? So if I'm now, and let's check it out, I should have gotten some sort of notification. So yeah, workflow up here, this says workflow communication by Sean Green needs your approval. So you can see that now that this is the workflow started because of that. If I view this workflow, right, it would show, I would call this the workflow main dashboard, right? Where it says this was submitted by the user, right? And that I can open up the submission itself to see more information. But this shows the timeline or like the step by step, right? So this is the first step. This explains what that step's doing and who has to and how many people have to approve it for it to go on to the next thing and then approved, right? So if let's say that there's 15 people in this team, the communication team, 15 people could be listed, and anyone could approve it, but it would say, hey, somebody has to approve, so we can make sure that we actually contacted this submitter that took the survey. But then we can also go back and check to see, like, oh, well, they wanted email to be the way that was to happen. So we know that then, hey, email has to be the communication method. And so once you've checked to see that's email, you can go ahead and hit approve, and then it approves the step. They probably would have received a notification that says that that's been approved. But then, or if you have something where you could want it to be rejected or modified, you could do that. But we're just doing it, asking for basic information so that nothing where it actually needs to be rejected. It's basically upon the request of the submitters doing some volunteering extra time out of their. So here we go. Workflow has been approved. So two things. It shows this is what the user would get. So your workflow, so meaning the user, the submitter, it's been approved. And then this is also showing, sending out, hey, this is sending out to the team of the communication team saying, yeah, this has been approved, right? So, and then what those answers were, right? So, and then, yeah, we could go ahead and click on open it and it will just show us what they all did. And then, yeah, you could see on here that I selected email. But again, if you have it so that you use your submission tags correctly, you can see here. Something else that we can show is I can show you, and kind of talked about this a couple days ago. We can click on here and have it so we can see, what was the event that you attended. We want to know that. We want to know the date, maybe what you did. Let's say then we want to do what level of interest, and then contact, and how would you like to be, and then do you want to be in the mailing list? Now we hit refresh. Here you go. That shows all my information right from here. So I don't actually have to open the submission. I can go back to that dashboard again if I want to. This is that same dashboard. And then from there, I can open up the submission. Or if I set this up right, I can see it all from right here. I don't have to do anything else, right? So that's, again, this is complicated, right? Very, I mean, people who understand logic-based statements, Boolean statements, they're going to get this very fast. But the fact that you have to do so many steps to kind of create a workflow itself can be very, very hard, stressful to kind of get right away. But again, I need to create a walkthrough guide that kind of accompanies this training video. And as time goes on, I'll be building and expanding off this to try to simplify the process to make it make more sense overall so that you don't have to, feel kind of lost at any point. But so yeah, that's something else. And then just to see here, yeah, something where I had multiple steps, but I only created one. But yeah, it's play around with it, right? And this now, if I was to use this, I could get a lot of information off of this survey if I was to use this as a feedback survey, right? And say, like, oh, want to know like my events. I could use this if I was to create an event. I could post that at the bottom of every one of like send a feedback send a survey out at the end. I could use this, a survey now, and send that out. And that's how I could collect information. But yeah, it's it takes a second to get used to if you're not really familiar with logic-based statements, but it can be extremely helpful. Um, and so that's why, yeah, it was a three-part series on this, to kind of explain just how complicated it can get, but it can be very useful as well. So, um, I'm gonna kind of cut it there, as I was able to hit in time. But yeah, if you have any other questions or whatnot, always, again, you can come talk to us at the club drop-in hours or whatnot, or email me directly, and we'll be able to help you out. All right. So I will see you later, and I hope this has been useful, and you have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.